Good morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting an update from Eloro Resources. The company is advancing their Iska Iska project, a major silver tin polymetallic discovery located in the Potosi department in southern Bolivia. The company trades on the TSX.V under the symbol ELO. And joining me today is Eloro President and CEO Tom Larsen and General Manager of Eloro's Bolivian subsidiary, Osvaldo Arce. Tom and Osvaldo, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Megan, thanks for having both myself and Osvaldo here to talk to you and your audience about our very exciting project, Iska Iska.
And for those new to the story, Tom, introduce the listeners to Eloro's Iska Iska project and maybe provide a quick overview of the growing deposit and your work to date.
So basically, as you've stated, Megan, this is a polymetallic epithermal type system. It's Iska Iska multi-metal. They call it a polymetallic deposit. It's a typical Bolivian bonanza style type of system that we've been very fortunate enough to discover through the efforts of Dr. Osvaldo Arce, who I'm privileged to have here with us today, having come up from Bolivia from site. Currently 4 drills going, but Osvaldo accompanied us for this past few days at the PDAC, the Prospectors and Developers Association here in Toronto, Canada. So we've just finished that off. Anyway, the Iska Iska project, again, silver tin, those are the 2 primary metals that we're coming up with, along with zinc, silver, and you are getting a basket of other metals such as indium, copper, gold, smaller amounts, but it's just showing the complexity, the strength of this type of system. So let's continue on here on the slide deck. There we are. So just forward-looking statements that are typical of any presentation when you're dealing with the public marketplace. And, as you mentioned quickly, we are a publicly traded exploration mine development company. Our focus now is basically 99% on the Iska Iska silver tin, again, polymetallic multi-metal property. This is in the Potosi department of southern Bolivia, which is home to the world-class, one of the probably the largest silver tin discoveries ever made by man back in the 16th century, called Cerro Rico. We are about 180 kilometers south, further down close to the town of Tupiza, population around 30,000. But our property is 40 kilometers north of that. We have an option to acquire a 99% interest in this 9 square kilometer Iska Iska property, again, hosting that multi-metal silver tin polymetallic porphyry, like deeper down feeder with later stage epithermal type activity. That's the complex located 4,000 meters above sea level, but very, very conducive flat-lying altiplano area. So very easy to work in once you get accustomed to the 4,000 meters of altitude. We've raised over $40 million Canadian through 3 bought deals from the street, Haywood Securities, Cantor Fitzgerald. Both companies have recently produced research on the company with both $8 price tags starting off, and also Cormark Securities. We've had a very, very aggressive exploration program, and this is based on Dr. Osvaldo's very close ties with a lot of different service groups. Leduc Drilling, for instance, that we basically hired back in September of 2020 to commence this drilling campaign. Property had never been drilled before. So to date, 60,000 meters of diamond drilling so far, over 95 holes. Every hole's been mineralized. Not every hole is commercial, but every hole is mineralized, just showing the size and extent, the strength of this type of system. Dr. Osvaldo will get into that shortly. Next. So there's your sort of the view of the Iska Iska caldera complex. It's basically a collapsed volcano, a collapsed caldera at least. And you see some of the adits, the Santa Barbara to the upper right, the Hiracasa portal, both adits. And that's where we started our drilling campaign back in, again, September 2020 at the Hiracasa. It's a 300-meter drift that went in with, probably 20-foot ceiling space. But a lot of, we were able to bring a very strong drill capacity into and started off from that underground, which was very, very, very successful as we were sort of encountering more of the sulfide component to this big system. Currently, drilling is being done. I think we're back to 3 surface rigs and 1 high-capacity underground drill. Those drills primarily are working on what we're coming together on the first pass MRE 43101 inferred partial indicated report that'll be out 3rd quarter of this year. Again, terrain, as I mentioned, it's like doing a program in Arizona or Nevada, sort of flat lying somewhat, but you're up at a much higher elevation. So here we are, the property geology and mineralization. I'd like to bring Dr. Osvaldo Arce in to start just giving you a basic understanding of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Megan. Yes, my name is Osvaldo Arce. I'm a Bolivian geologist, general manager of Minera Tupiza, which is a subsidiary of Eloro Resources. I'm really pleased to work in this project in my country. And I'm going to explain a little bit how's the geology there. So we are in the southern part of the Andes, where you have several volcanic complexes that they're extruding Ordovician rocks, which are about 400 million years old. And the volcanic, all these volcanic systems, they are around 18 to 12 million years old. So we have these several volcanoes that collapsed, but then later, after a few million years, were reactivated when the magmatic chambers refilled. So these magmatic chambers filled again these volcanics at the beginning with a high temperature intrusions. In this case, we have a granodiorite that in the cupola is mineralized with a high temperature minerals as tin or cassiterite. We have tourmaline, rutile, pyrite, and quartz. And they was overprinted by volcanic domes. They are dacitic in composition, and they are completely, totally related to the epithermal, that's lower temperature minerals. For example, the sulfides of zinc, lead, and in many cases we have also gold and silver as a precious metals. So this composition that mixing of minerals makes what we call the telescoping, which is very typical in several deposits. Cerro Rico, one of the largest, perhaps the largest silver mineral, but also is polymetallic. And we have also about 5 important systems in that region. And of course, Iska Iska remain one of the undiscovered deposit in the last 500 years. It's because we had a rock that was leached out on surface because of the silicification and all these reactions that happen with the water that was leaching out all this mineralization. So many groups passed, and then the values they obtained, they were not important. In our case, we could explore an underground working, which was about 10 meters below surface, and we saw that there was a very interesting alteration minerals, and we could find important values over, in some cases, 20 to 30 grams gold, and also we found important anomalies of zinc, lead, etc., with a very complex system that doesn't include these formal veins, but stockworks and all the series of veinlets and disseminations all over the place. So the important thing is that we start drilling in several directions, especially to the west, where we found important breccia pipes, like phreatomagmatic breccia, that are formed because of a very large explosion. And this type of breccia was really important to spread around all the mineralization that was at the beginning formed in several places. So we had several traps that are hosting ore shoots or enriched zones all over the area. We have about 4 square kilometers of this mineralization, but we can include also other sub-caldera, as we call that. They are additional to the main caldera that still are really important, and we keep lots of time still to keep exploring, and we can keep extending the system along, especially to the south, where we have an important tin deposit. So we have the important holes that they were recently released. One is the DSBS-02 that was drilled north of the Santa Barbara feeder zone to a length of about 1,022 meters, and we have about 65 of that length mineralized. So we have an average of 100.42 grams silver equivalent. So we can see that these grades are important because we have I would say a cutoff about 100, but we can of course have in several sectors higher grades, but the average is about 100. So we have also that the system is about 750 meters along strike. We have a 650 meters wide, and at least we have 750 meters in vertical extent, while these deposits open in several directions. So in the case of DPC-9 is one of the holes that was drilled following some magnetic susceptibility anomalies and intersected several intervals. From them are 41 reportable, that includes 29% of this 1,124.4 meter hole, averaging 94.73 grams silver equivalent. So this is showing that we have near the bottom, that's very high in silver and tin, with the low values of zinc and lead, which shows that we are going to a higher temperature at depth, and probably they are directing to our thoughts that we may have a tin porphyry at depth. So
I'd just like to also impress on this upon this that in regard to the work on our MRE, I believe Osvaldo, we were talking about a cutoff more down at 30 gram.
Yeah, the 30 gram would be the lower cutoff, but we are talking about 90 to 100 of high, I would say, high anomaly. So we have the cutoff at 30, yeah, but we can have maybe 91 of the high, I would say, level to get these strong anomalies.
Right. Okay.
From
good.
low to high.
This week you found some significant intercepts from the project Santa Barbara target area. Could you run us through some of those results?
Well, this is the whole DSBS-02. That was the hole that we just came out with after our metallurgical report press release. This one came out 2 or 3 days ago, correct?
Yes.
That's the 1,023.4 meter length, which is, you think about how many playing fields that might be, with a vertical depth of 740 meters, and 67% of that yielded over $100 rock. So it's people are starting to understand the size potential of what we're dealing with here. You hear about a lot of intersections. People get excited about 10 meters here and there, 20 meters of higher grade in some cases. But when you're dealing with widths of this nature, of this size, from a bulk mining standpoint, it only proves up the potential profitability. And in our case, we're looking down the road potentially 50,000 ton a day type model. We'll get in, like, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but no, I've never seen drill results. I mean, how wide these are. You do see them in some of the big copper porphyry systems, especially down in South America, Chile and Argentina, where you might get 200, 300, 400 meter holes of 1% copper, 1.5% copper, that's a very good value.
Yes, that's right. And we have several drill holes that intercepted continuous mineralization almost 400 meters. And most of them are in the Santa Barbara zone.
So just in here.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
We have in a black circle, it's about 600 meters diameter area, where we believe that's a feeder zone of this system, at least in the central part, where we drilled at least 30 holes. And as I told you, several of them are over 150 to 200 meters continuous interval. So besides that, there are several intercepts also that are probably, averaging about 60 or 70% of the total holes. So so we had these anomalies that they're averaging in several cases 80, 90 grams silver equivalent, and the highest is close to 250 grams silver equivalent. So
if I could add that Dr. Osvaldo and Dr. Pearson, they have been focusing in on a lot of the drilling in this particular subset of the overall volcanic edifice that we call Santa Barbara. This is where the first pass MRE will come from, but it's only a small portion of the overall system that is still unexplored. Everything seems to be open in all direction, but we're filling in this area, which will be an open pit model. And you're dealing right now with sort of a strike length southeast northwest of over 1,400 meters by 600 meter by 600 meter depth, width 600. And then but the boys are focusing in now, right? I think it's 700 by 6 by 5 for the first pass model, which will be expanded. But that's where you're seeing all this concentration of drilling that they're defining, and that's what will come out first pass or end of third quarter 2022.
Yes, this is the Santa Barbara magnetic inverse model, where you can see that there's a really great area that's approximately 700 meters along strike, 650 meters wide, and extends at least for 750 meters. And we have this shape that is showing the different types of metals and the arrangement. So we may have a different model after we get more drilling, but in this slide is showing the size of this system, at least with the drill holes we drilled so far. So it's really impressive because we have this big stand, and it's showing one of the greatest mineralization and intervals and the size that's in Bolivia, one of the largest. So I have lots of experience working in this type of system, but I think this is the largest I have seen to date.
I would just like to emphasize, first of all, Dr. Osvaldo Arce's background. He was born and raised, educated in Bolivia primarily, and ended up with a PhD at university in Japan in both metallurgy and geoscience. He's written 2 volumes on metallogenic deposits in Bolivia, especially southern Bolivia, where most of the major mineral endowment seems to be located. So he was president of the Bolivian Geological Society from 2010 to 2017-18. His father was a senior officer for Comobol, which is the state-run mining operation for the Bolivian government. Bolivia is a small place. I mean, 8-9 million people, I believe.
Yeah, 11.
11 million, sorry. But when it comes to geological, the society, it's a small place, and he's very, very well known, and he's been very instrumental. And when he says you're seeing something that's sizable to like that could be world class and could be a potential one of the biggest discoveries in quite some time in Bolivia, especially, our group take note.
So it seems like the project is growing on a weekly basis. What do you guys think is the potential size of Iska Iska?
I'll leave that with the professional.
Yeah, according what we are now testing, we are, I think, close to about 500 million tons, which is, I think, so far one of the largest being discovered in Bolivia. So the grades are still, under consideration, because always we have like spotted polymetallic. We have sometimes 5-6 elements that are contributing to these silver equivalent grades. But yes, I believe that this system is really important, and probably is the newest tin deposit that's been discovered after 100 years. So there were some efforts around 1970 to 1980 to discover more tin deposits, but unfortunately couldn't succeed these projects. But in our case, I think we are finding this important metal that's tin, and I believe the industry is needing from Bolivia, because Bolivia is well known for tin deposits besides silver. So I believe it will be a great contribution to the humanity to what is possible.
So this magnetic inverse model, this gives you some sort of sense of size potential, especially if this truly is the potential, the tin porphyry, the feeder that created all this strength. We have no idea how big this might be, but it's looking. I think you're seeing via the pyrrhotite that's giving us that sort of that model is associated with tin in this case. So anyway, very exciting days. And one other point, there was a lot of under exploration in Bolivia for many years, and this is one of the reasons. We're one of the first companies that are actually drilling deep. And this is one of the reasons, like we are in the tin belt. The tin belt is about 1,000 kilometers from southeast Bolivia up to northeast Peru down into southeastern Bolivia. Just the very bottom part, actually, of southeast Peru. That's where the Minsur San Rafael smelter and tin deposit are located. But that's the tin belt. We are on the tin belt. Most others, Cerro Rico is on the tin belt, but we're drilling deeper down into this tin potential porphyry, the feeder. So we're miles ahead right now. We're not comparing to other of our peer group in Bolivia, because there's more and more excitement developing from other companies that are doing extremely well. One in particular, New Pacific Metals. They're the pathfinder. They're the ones that came in 2018 and really got things going. And we've been following their lead. But they're not quite on the tin belt, but they're doing fantastically with their silver and other products. We're just in the tin belt area, so we're trying to advance that right now. Let's keep going here. So this is just another major inverse magnetic. Do you want to
Yes, this is a measure in Porco area, which is south of Santa Barbara. We can see also there are some holes like a DSBS-02 that was drilled crossing Santa Barbara and having really important intervals. And that's why we have also, besides the Santa Barbara, we have a Porco zone, a Mina 2 zone, Guairacasa is another one. And later we'll keep exploring south to intersect other, especially high tin and tungsten prospects. So that's we can see from here the size, the important size of this deposit.
Same sort of.
Yes, here this long section. The other ones, the more cross section. This is a long section. So it's across 1.6 kilometer, a long strike, 700 meters wide, a vertical stand of approximately 750 meters.
So sort of our next steps, and because we're a publicly traded company, just a little bit just on the structural, like the corporate breakdown, the share capitalization. So we're at around 67 million shares outstanding, around 83 fully diluted. We trade anywhere from $3.40 to $4 in this recent sort of time period. We have been as high as $5.40, and before we started into this drilling campaign 2 years ago, we were trading at around 30 cents. So we've had the drill bit has produced some major intersections, and we also have a fellow called Dr. Quentin Hennig who introduced us to Crescat Capital out of Colorado. They were the first fund out of Colorado that actually put a financing into us at 30 cents. This was 4 months before we started drilling in September of 2020. So that really kickstarted things for us, and we haven't looked back. So again, we have 18 million cash Canadian dollars. We burn at about 1 to 1.2 million US, with the 4 drills going at full rate, full capacity. But we are now sort of at that stage where we're starting to move in also on some sort of economics as to potential PEA down the road. We're not there now, but the infrastructure. This particular slide deck we've shrunk. The main slide deck that we have is on our website, and it gives you like the logistics of where we're located in regard to rail and power, water. The fact that we have no communities on our property. It's a privately owned property, so we're not dealing with the state at all. There are a couple of small communities nearby. The owners of the property, the Villegas family, who Osvaldo knows very, very well, because Osvaldo worked on this property in 2016, got to know it a little bit at their request, because they really didn't know how to figure out polymetallic grades, types of mineralization to mine, because they're artisanal mining type. So they have a very strong reputation. They're multi-generational, and the social license is all important. Arce are 100% Bolivian, with the exception of Anna, who is she's from Ecuador. She's a lawyer and looks after a lot of communities, incentives and initiatives at least. But Dr. Osvaldo, 60%, I believe, of the staff are ladies that are geologists from the university. So it's pretty amazing what's going on down there. So that's sort of where we are.
Just for anybody who wants to take a look, what is your website?
So it's www.elororesources.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, it was great to talk to you guys today. We really appreciate the update, and I definitely would love to have you guys back on again soon to hear more about Iska Iska. Thank you both.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Megan, for having us.
Have a great day, guys.
Take care.